Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and here to host my show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, we have elise. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
You did.
Now, it says here, you're clairvoyant, claircognizant, I hope I pronounced that right, clairsentient, clairaudient. Does that mean that whenever you experience something psychically that you feel it from all the senses?
Pretty much, yes. I see, hear, smell. You left out clairgustient, excuse me. That's a hard one to say. Taste on occasion.
Now, let me ask you this. It says here that you are an empowerment psychic. Now, I've never, and I also like to introduce my co-host, Kelly. Are you there, Kelly?
Hi, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, boy, I'm sorry. I forgot. Okay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what an empowerment psychic is?
Okay, love to. Great question. Most people think of a psychic as just giving you an overview of your future, unless, of course, you're going to a medium, in which case you're looking to connect with your deceased loved ones. For me, as an empowerment psychic, I thankfully, over the years, have done a lot of studying. I have background in clinical hypnosis. I've taken up a multitude of classes to understand the human psyche better. I have Jungian therapy in my background, and all that said, when information comes through psychically, there's always a back end of help. And what I mean by that is, for instance, if something comes up that there's an issue with somebody and they are dealing with it, I will not just tell them that in 3 months the issue is changing. I will let them know how they can actually make changes now to start moving things forward, as well as perhaps moving beyond that circumstance ever occurring in their life again. So they are empowered to make change. It's not just waiting for the universe at large to give them an outcome. They will know what their outcome is, they will know their choices, and they will have the opportunity to speed up outcome.
Now, have you, that's interesting, though. I mean, it seems like have you always been psychic?
Yes.
Now, Kelly, and the reason I'm bringing Kelly is because she's my co-host here. I've seen that a lot of the people go through, it seems like, what it's called by psychic puberty, it seems. That's the lack of a better term,
Psychic puberty. I like that. I'll have to remember that.
there's a TV show called Tomorrow People that was on many years ago. They were called Breaking Out. But I've talked to so many people when they do things like, I get all these headaches, which is kind of what happens when a boy goes and turns 13. He's got all the stuff that he's not used to. His voice is changing, and
right.
And then before you know it, he wants to, go nuts. But I guess maybe, we always talk about these people that have this gift, but we always talk about how they need to know how to use. Do you see what I'm saying, Kelly? You understand what I'm saying? Do you have anything to add? Or?
Well, for me, it took me a long time to figure out how do I turn this off, so I can go to sleep and, things like that. And I'm still working on it, but it's a lot better than it was. Or if there's negative energy, how to kind of shield myself from it.
Right.
And so there's these things, and I'm learning to trust what I'm getting, and I'm also learning to discern, okay, what's a rational thing that I can be afraid about? Is this rational, or is this, my anxiety kicking in? Because anxiety is going to muck it up and kind of muddy the waters and not make it clear. And so I'm learning to discern, to be able to, say, oh, hey, that's something that's not likely to happen, and I'm just worrying.
Right, but you've brought up a few different things, and one of them, as far as that whole discernment, for me, I didn't experience that. There was no discernment. It was just knowing. And I would say things, and family would go, how could you possibly know that, or where did you get that from? So I didn't go through that. But as far as the myriad of techniques that are available to be able to disperse energy or to shield from it, it's a shame we don't teach that in school. It would make such a tremendous, tremendous difference. And then there is that part, though, of being able to discern, and I teach that with my students. There is a sensation that is different from an intellectual thought versus an intuitive thought or intuitive feeling. We have to get better at asking ourselves questions. So, for instance, if you're feeling as if the plane you're going on is going into the ocean, you could reasonably say, oh, that's an irrational thought because I'm nervous and, that's why that came up. But if you get quiet for a moment and you say to yourself, I never think this way. I travel all the time. I've always gone on planes ever since I was a kid, and that's never come up for me. Then you start to perceive it a little differently, and you get a little more quiet, and you go within and you ask yourself, is this true to me? And notice how you feel. Because go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, is it kind of like you find a place of peace where you're just almost like observing your thoughts from the outside without the emotions in the way? And you're kind of, I don't know, I guess observation mode is kind of a way to do it, but,
Initially it's observing, but you get to a place where you can actually identify how the sensation feels in your body within, whether it shows up in your mind, whether it shows up in your solar plexus, whether it's just, with absolute certainty. When you practice listening, when you practice paying attention and asking yourself questions in respect to, is this true or not? Is this something I need to listen to or not? Versus debating with yourself over, am I being irrational or why would I possibly think this? Then it becomes really clear when those things come through. And a really great example is 9/11. I was flying north to meet one of my co-authors on my first book, and we were going to have a powwow and talk about marketing. And the short version is the night before, I kept hearing, take your phone book. And I'm thinking to myself, this is absurd. Why would I take my phone book? Because I have all my phone numbers in my phone. And over and over and over, till it started to boom loud in my head to take my phone book. And I finally said, okay, and I took my phone book. Now, when I was supposed to be landing in New York was the exact same time the second building was being attacked.
Uh-huh.
And I was supposed to be landing right there. We were diverted to Atlantic City. When I got to Atlantic City, I realized the reason that I heard that I needed to take my phone book was I have a dear friend who lives in Atlantic City, and she had been remarried. I would have not remembered her last name to be able to find her phone number in my phone, yet because she held her single name for many years, I would have looked up that and I would have had her last name in parentheses with her phone number, which meant that I could reach her. And that's exactly. I ended up phoning her and spending a week with her because I couldn't get back to Florida. But the point that I'm making is, even though I am aware that I need to pay attention to these things, on occasion I still do that debate. But why? And it's not because I don't believe it, but it's more a matter of I need a logical explanation for something that's illogical. And that's where we have to move beyond. And yet, even though for a moment I was fighting with myself, I took it because that voice, that inner knowing, there was no doubt that it was telling me something.
Okay. For me, it seems to be easier to be able to do that with other people. And then lately I've been able to do that more with myself and people in my closer circle. But, there's still, I'm finding like more and more lately I go, okay, fine. And then I do the thing, and then it's like, well, I'm glad I did.
Right. But that's it. It does get easier when you start just saying okay and you allow. But if you want to take that further step, which is when you start to hear it and you say, okay, what does it feel like? Really get in touch with where you observe it, where you feel it, where you sense it in your body. Because then time a sensation comes up that's similar, you will know that it has value and is important to you in that moment.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes it'll be something that just, it's like it's almost as clear as somebody like shouting something, but it's not, you know, and it'll be like, okay, why? And, you know, I can sit there and question it, or I can just say, well, it's not going to hurt me if I go ahead with it. And then there's been a few times where, you know, like leaving my fiance's house, let's say, you know, no, I should really take my medicine in case I get stranded. And, you know, there's been a time where I'm like, no, don't worry, it's not going to happen. And then, you know, I get stranded. And it's like, well, it would have been really great if I listened to myself.
Well, also, you know, not to jump in a little bit, like when we talk about, we were talking about, because this is to do with, sort of with Kelly's development as well. You know, she does chakra cleansings, repeat over the phone, and that's when we do our chakra days. And, you know, I don't know if you've heard the story or not about what happened when she did mine.
No.
Well, the only reason I say that is that it goes back to what you're saying about how sometimes you're trying to find a logical explanation for something that isn't logical.
Mm-hmm.
See, she did my chakras, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is that it says, I'm reading here that you were interested in energy awareness and modalities. So I thought this sort of encompasses the chakras. Am I right in saying that? Or?
Correct, yes.
Okay. You see, like, she did my chakras because I was telling her that I was having a lot of financial problems. And then after she did it, you know, I walked out the next day, and then out of the blue, this lady comes up to me in a van. She comes out. She says, hey, you look like you used some extra money here, and she hands me $3.
That's pretty cool.
And I guess the only reason is I love telling that story because it's me, Graver, and Kelly and Tim. But it also goes in line with what you're saying. I mean, like, because after that happened, I was trying in my mind to find a logical label for what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of mystical labels, and I made it a point not to give it a label because, you know, people have different labels. I can tell you right now, for what happened to me, I don't have a logical label for it. I don't, because there's no logical reason why a woman would get out of her car and walk right up to me. It doesn't make any sense. It's just, that's not safe. You know, it's, and have you ever done chakra cleansings?
I have, many times. I do them for my clients on occasion.
I mean, do you ever do it over the phone or?
On occasion for a client if they're in need. See, the thing with me is when I'm doing a reading for someone, if it comes in that they need an adjustment in that arena, then I'll ask their permission if they'd like to have that taken care of. Or if they're in the office, as I did with someone the other day, she really needed to be cleared. So before she left, I asked her if it was okay. I took out a couple of accoutrements, and I went ahead and I completely cleared her field. And it's funny because I need to start taking before and after pictures. You look at somebody, and they look kind of gray. You clear them, and all of a sudden there's color in their cheek.
That's what Kelly has noticed. She's seen that. Yeah. Don't you notice that, Kelly?
Yeah, and I'm starting to see auras. Like, before I wasn't sure that's what they were, and I've been working with someone on it and, you know, looking up the meanings and stuff, and they can completely change after a clearing.
Absolutely. And I'm sure if you're studying auras and chakras, you're also seeing that each one can function individually as well as in unison, and when something's going on in our life, it can be enhanced or you end up having yourself feeling off kilter.
Yeah, because emotions and like bodily systems and all those things are linked in with their own chakra. Like the chakra kind of like encompasses a little group of things and thought processes. Yeah, I love this because, I mean, it's something that not everybody is aware of, but it's something that everybody has.
Right.
that's another thing I wanted to bring up. This is also another question for Kelly's benefit. As you can tell, I try to look out for her. You mentioned here that you have a psychic apprenticeship program.
I do.
Now, how do you think something like that would benefit Kelly? Because I think Kelly would be the one that would be the most likely to benefit from that, or at least have interest.
I do.
Well, from what I'm sensing and what I'm feeling in the short period of time that we've been communicating is Kelly has a lot of natural ability already, which is beautiful, and I love working with people who have an awareness that they have ability, even if they haven't fine-tuned it or honed it yet. And working with my apprenticeship program, it helps you not only strengthen the skill set that you already have, but usually opens you up to other skills that you didn't even know were there. And it helps you with confidence. It helps you with being more centered, more content in your world. It helps you to actually experience and see things that come in intuitively and be able to handle them by circumventing situations versus being reactive or sad or angry. So in answer, Kelly, if you have an interest, I'd be very happy to talk with you further about it or send you information.
You really should have her on your show. I mean, she's really, do you have a radio show right now?
I wouldn't call it a reader show. My show encompasses spirituality, things that are holistic. I deal with a lot of high-profile folks who are authors or who are well-known in either the holistic or spiritual community, as well as I do readings on its own.
Okay. I was just suggesting her as a guest, you know. I mean, if you ever wanted to be a guest, you could have her on as a chakra day, but that's just a suggestion.
Oh, that's a great suggestion. I will see what my producer has to say.
Yeah,
I mean,
the thing is I have another question. This has to do with meditation, because here's the problem. I'm double jointed, so for me, I sit. What did you say?
That's a benefit. That's not a problem.
Well, yeah, exactly. That when I sit like a frog. I don't sit cross-legged. So when I try sitting cross-legged like you do with meditation, it doesn't work. My legs hurt.
You do realize you don't have to sit cross-legged to do meditation, right?
Well, how can you do it? My father meditates all the time, but he sometimes he's a big Buddhist. My father's a big Buddhist.
Okay. Honestly, it depends on your philosophy, but a big part of it depends on your comfort zone, and there's more than 150 different ways to meditate. So you do not necessarily have to sit cross-legged yogini style to meditate. You can sit in a chair with your feet firm on the floor and a support for your back and for your neck and meditate that way. You can meditate laying down, but you typically, if you're not accustomed to meditating on a regular basis, tend to fall asleep. If you really want to be cognizant of your activity, sitting up really is the best thing, or even having a recliner. It's not necessary to sit in that lotus position.
Yeah, my father, he does that every day. He's a big Buddhist. I was telling him about, whenever I tell him about the shows, he goes, you mean Kelly, you're soccer lady, you know. That's what he calls her. It's like, your soccer lady, the soccer lady. And my mom actually had a sign that she put on the south side of my bedroom door that says, we're on the air, don't walk in. So the family's been very supportive. I mean, it's like, the soccer lady, she had the soccer. Have you had your soccer cleaned yet today, Johnny? And I'm like, well, no. So she's, but it's been interesting. The first time I had mine done, honestly, I didn't know what a chakra cleansing was. I was like, what? Why? But then it made sense when you really think about it, because for a long time I was very frustrated. Nothing really worked right. I wasn't. Now, even though I still have problems, I kind of look at the problems differently a little bit now, as sort of like I put them into perspective. They don't seem as big as they used to be, And Kelly, it's been a huge change in my life meeting her. She's been Because there's every once in a while there's people I've met on the show who are like magic. They bring a magic to the show, and Kelly's one of the people that really does that.
It's awesome.
Well, thank you.
You have a fan.
Wow. Wow. Thanks. To kind of expand on the whole meditation thing, I took a study of meditation class way back in college, and it was really cool because you can meditate with a piece of food.
Absolutely.
Just, be mindful of it, roll it around in your mouth, don't chew it. Have your tongue, before you even get it to your mouth, you're observing it, what it looks like. You're trying not to form words in your head like soft or gooey, or you're just observing it, and then you're observing what you're doing with it. And
if I can interject here, mindfulness and meditation are very much a part of the same coin. They're not identical, but they definitely are interchangeable because one works with the other, as you're saying, that mindfulness, that observation, that allowing. Though those quiet moments tend to have to do and deal with more with altering your consciousness. And you can be mindful without altering your consciousness. Though to meditate, you alter your consciousness sometimes intentionally and sometimes not. An example is you could be walking down the street, looking at the gardens, walking your dog, and somehow you walked 20 blocks and you didn't even realize it. You're in a state of meditation at that moment because you are being mindful of your surroundings. So you shifted from beta to alpha state without even realizing it. And that's why I'm saying they're interchangeable. But for those who have difficulty in that perceived quieting the mind, beginning with mindfulness, beginning with that observation, beginning with allowing, that's tremendous. And it can help shift on a multitude of levels.
Yeah, it was kind of neat. Like, we did a walking meditation, and we would acknowledge if somebody said hi, but we weren't allowed to say it back. We would just nod and keep on our way because it was basically not allowing ourselves to be distracted, but yet at the same time taking everything in, if that makes sense. Makes
perfect sense, absolutely. I had a ball when I taught over at Nova University. I taught meditation there for about 5 years. Before it was the in thing. It was early 1990s. Nowadays, you say meditation, and even in staunch corporate or analytically minded fields of business, people are like, oh, yeah, I meditate. It's how I manage. It's how I function. It's how I'm able to get through my day. And I think it's great because that awareness makes a difference not only for them, but for everybody else. And with the two of you, for instance, you're talking about how you help each other. You're talking about how you benefit each other. You do something, you look after the other individual that you care about, and then it's shared. It continues to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
I've heard you're an empowerment psychic, but some people also I've heard one of the things that you sent me that was information was about you is that there's a difference between an empowerment psychic and a psychic medium. I always thought of a psychic medium as someone who talks to those who are departed. I never would think of an empowerment psychic as somebody that would do that. Would an empowerment psychic do that? Or?
No, I mean, unless they are a medium. But the reason I shared information about the distinction was that a lot of people today, because of the Long Island medium, all assume that everybody who does psychic work is a medium. And that's just...
You mean Teresa Caputo?
Yeah, she's awesome. She is really awesome. And you have to be psychic. You have to have psychic ability to be a medium, but not every psychic is a medium.
Have you ever met her?
No, but I met her. It's funny because we were talking about chakras. I met her best friend. She does a lot of energy work with her. And we have a mutual friend, and you're probably familiar with Deidre Brahmi. And everybody knows her. Okay, everybody knows everybody in the field. But anyway, so this gal had come down from up north for an event that Deidre was doing. So that's when I met her. Lovely lady. And from what I've heard, as far as our medium in New York on the island, she's also fabulous. A lot of personality, very kind, very thoughtful. So I've heard great things. I just wanted people to recognize that there shouldn't be an assumption that if somebody is psychic that they're speaking to the other side, because not everybody does.
Well,
some people,
yeah, and sometimes, just connecting with the person, like it's can make the person more psychic than what they would normally be otherwise, I would think.
Wait,
because
say that again? I'm sorry, you lost me.
Okay, well, I guess the reason I say that is that okay, like sometimes, being more open to it helps the psychic out.
Meaning being open to speaking to the other side?
Or open to psychic abilities, does that make sense?
Kinda.
Well, okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I try to be open to it when I like Kelly does my chakras, for instance.
Gotcha. Okay, now I understand. Okay. Lost me there for a second, but I'm found.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a little lost for a second there, but I'm good now. Yeah.
Everyone who works psychically does not all, or I should say, do not all work from the same level of integrity or the same level of talent or the same level of connectedness to the divine. And I think really for anybody who seeks out assistance from someone who does psychic work, they have to listen to their own instincts. They have to have that openness to be guided to the right person, or to find out if the individual has a good standing in the community. Because there are some people out there that don't stand in integrity. And there are some people out there that are very lovely, sweet people, but aren't necessarily really great psychics. So as an individual who wants help, as somebody who feels that they're drawn to that, they should also listen to their own ability.
Yeah, like I mean, sometimes people need some reassurance about their ability. It's funny. I think Kelly's going to be a best-selling author soon. I mean, someday, eventually. Don't you think?
Well, I get the feeling she hasn't written anything that's totally ready to be published yet, so that may be a consideration.
Oh, well, I mean, you can't.
Right.
But you understand what I'm saying. But I think she'll be a famous author, is what I'm thinking. That's all I'm saying. That.
Yeah. Yeah, well, here's the thing. If you want me to give a prediction here, I can say that we're, in 2018, 19, 2021. So between now and 2021, Kelly, it's really time for you to not just pay attention to intuitive awareness and gifts, but to start truly paying attention to your physical body. Because if you think it's mind, body, spirit, you can't have one high functioning without the other for long term where you reap all the benefits. So you want things in sync. And that means when it comes back to physical body, it's remembering to eat properly. And it's not that you don't eat, but I feel there are moments where it's a matter of running to do it, and other moments where you're just exhausted and you can't be bothered, or it's grab something that really doesn't have any sort of nutrition. Those types of things slow down mental acuity. Those types of things affect your internal. And I know you know all of this, and yet I feel like a lot of your attention has been on energy work. But to be the best at working with energy, that means your physical body has to be grounded. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yeah, right now I'm going through a tough time going through physical therapy, but I'm trying to remain open, and I'm trying to work with the pain and just work in spite of it, but some of the days are just extremely difficult.
Right. You might want to consider allowing yourself a moment of pain. And I know that sounds ludicrous. So sometimes to try to push through it is more difficult than to just acknowledge it exists. Recognize that it's there and say, okay, I know that this pain is here to show me that I need to pay attention to something in my body. I hear you. I do not need to have anymore. I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to release some of the pain as I breathe. And I'm going to go to the next thing that I need to do today versus, all right, I'm going to push through. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to fight my way through it, which I know through physical therapy a lot of the time, that's the focus.
Yeah. Okay.
If you can shift your mindset while you're going through it, you'll find that your results actually are sped up. And by doing that, you strengthen the core of who you are, both physically and mentally, which means that automatically, spiritually, it's easier for you to do your work.
Oh, okay. That's good. Thank you. Yeah, I probably everybody else out there, I bought Halloween candy thinking, oh, good, I got it while it was on sale. And it's like, I'll just have one piece, and then one piece is, well, and normally I'm eating all organic foods and all this, so, yeah, it's like I need to hide the candy from myself so it's not in plain sight.
Even though with that, allow, and what I mean is, we are also tough on ourselves. We had this idea, and I read something today that I thought was brilliant. It said, work out because you love your body, not because you hate your body. I thought, wow, very smart, and I wish I could even tie it to who said it. It was just one of those things on one of the social medias that flipped by.
I'm sure if you Google the phrase, they would get the author.
Yes.
I mean, there's this other one. I mean, there's this one. Not to get off topic, but I mean, I'm sure if you Google the phrase, there's this line from the movie Real Genius, and the guy's laying there and he goes, I was remembering the words of Socrates who said, I drank what?
I'm just saying, overall, Kelly, be a little more gentle with yourself while you're going through the process. Be conscious of healing, but healing as a whole, not just as in the parts that need attention.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I've been having to learn patience with myself. I have all the patience in the world for others, and I'm learning to have it with myself because it's like I don't want to have to, I want to go from A to Z. I don't want to do all this. It's taking too long, but I'm getting more patient where it's like I'm noticing little accomplishments or, just instead of when they say, when you hurt, go lay down, I'm thinking, well, when do I have the time for that? But it's like, well, I have to look at it like, well, if I want to get better, I'm going to have to do some things that I don't really want to do, and I'm going to have to take out time for myself, and time for myself is something I'm just learning to be able to do without feeling guilty I'm not doing something for someone else. So I think a lot of people fall into that,
Absolutely. And here's something to consider for yourself and for our listeners. When you are doing healing work, whether it's spiritual, emotional, physical, doesn't matter, there's an energy attached to it. When we let ourselves feel sad or we're agitated, we actually lower our life force energy. We ourselves. We have the propensity of actually making our progress slow down. If, when you're feeling poorly, you can focus on encircling yourself in a golden eggshell or in a beautiful stream of light, and you allow yourself to smile as you do it, you actually uplift your energy, and then you can start focusing a little better on, I know that I'm not where I need to be yet, but I also know I'm on my way. Raise that vibration, again, you heal faster. And you open up to that divine intuition that's going to guide you to the best doctor, to the best therapist, to the best what have you, to take care of yourself.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And a lot of times I feel it or I notice it, and then I end up doing better with whatever, rather than focusing on what I'm not doing or what I should be doing. I forgot who said it, but they said don't should on yourself, meaning don't, don't put I could, I should, things like that, or to do it more like I am.
Correct. It's positivity, but it's also self-affirming. You don't want
Sounds
to...
like it's more law of attraction, seems.
Well, but it's all tied together. See, that's the magic of our universe. We have all this power that exists within us to divine information, to heal, to shift our consciousness, to attract to us what we want. And it's all kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is psychic energy. And it's simply a matter of getting to a point in our life where we're able to manipulate it for what we desire versus what we don't.
Yeah, I noticed that I lost the most weight when I wasn't focusing on losing weight. So I've got to lose 8 pounds. So I've got to,
Mm-hmm.
When I just focused on the healthy, choices moment by moment, that's when it came off. It wasn't the, I've lost 2 pounds. It's,
But
I've found myself losing the most weight is when I is when I look at as I do it pounds at a time. I don't think I have to lose 50 pounds. I think 1 pound.
Right. And see, that way you're being gentle with yourself. And we have to consider that everybody is an individual. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another.
That's true. Different body chemistries. Yeah.
Exactly. Body chemistries, thought processes, environment. Some people are able to have a fitness trainer all day long and work out 5 hours a day and have a private chef prepare all organic foods. That doesn't necessarily apply to all of us. And we do, like you said, have to take a look at our chemistry. Our makeup is different.
Yeah.
Listening. I'm sorry, go on.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was just saying that, like, when I'm at the grocery store, I probably have the healthiest stuff, of anybody I've seen their cart.
Right.
But, that's just how I'm eating, and I don't feel deprived. It's just, man, this time of year, normally I'd be like, oh, yuck, sugar, that's too sweet. But, yeah, I'm not trying to beat myself up over I had some candy today, because that would be counterproductive.
Think about it this way. When you're in a good mood, as we said before, it raises your energy. It raises your kinetic energy. That's your psychic energy, your awareness. It's that positivity that attracts things, right? If you have a piece of candy and you go, this is really good. This is my reward because I've been doing so well with on the blank. I've been doing so well with looking after the kids or running the business or getting the proper sleep. I'm really happy to give myself this reward. Then you're giving yourself love and appreciation and you're raising that kinetic energy, that psychic energy.
She works really hard. I mean, with her fiance's daughter. I mean, she's really good with the daughter, and the daughter connects with her. So it's good that she's getting a reward.
Right. Exactly.
Ah, thank you. Instead of going, oh gosh, why did I just do that? I put poison in my body. Yeah.
Right. I'm not suggesting that you eat all the things you believe aren't good for you every day, all the time, but I am suggesting that if you basically are conscious about your diet and there's that Milky Way bar or there's that Fudgicle or there's my Achilles heel is peanut butter chocolate ice cream. If it calls my name, I usually say yes. And then people about the fact that I could have it. It's my reward. It has a frequency attached to it when you use it as a reward.
Yeah, and we don't use a whole pint as a reward at once.
Right. But if you do, and it's not something you do all the time, then you say, I don't think I want to do it that way again. I've had this experience. I think next time I'll have 3 tablespoons or a dishful, or I'll have it just once a month. I mean, you can create those parameters for yourself that feel right.
Yeah, okay. I like that. Yeah, like they say, everything in moderation.
Yeah, exactly. And even when you think about balancing your chakras, they are not always going to be in perfect alignment. If you see a car accident, it throws your chakras off. If you are experiencing loss because somebody passed away, it throws your chakras off. If you are exhausted and you just worked 23 hours in a row, your chakras are not going to be in alignment. We have to recognize that our energy is malleable, and there are times that it's going to be lower and times it's going to be higher. It's a matter of when it stays too low or too off kilter for too long that we have to address it and we have to bring it back into alignment. And you already know how to do that, which means that if you are just aware of how you're in the moment, you can check with yourself and see what you need to adjust.
Yeah, I've known some people that do this kind of thing, and they can't do that on themselves. But I've gotten to where I'm pretty tuned in, and I can be like, oh, yeah, this one's off. I can tell.
Yes.
And then another practitioner is like, yep, that one's off. You're right. So.
Yeah, that's so much when we know ourselves and we're with someone who can give us that confirmation, because it helps build us so we have more confidence more consistently also. And that means that we get stronger with our gifts. And again, we can help ourselves and help others better.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know if you know about dialectical behavior therapy, but there are a lot of ways that with that a person can kind of flip their mood. Like if they're in a really sour, bad mood, there are things they can do to uplift, because it's just how the body will react. So, or there's little phrases that you can remember, but I like doing the things like, dunking your head in ice cold water if you're really depressed or angry or something, because that's just going to change your biochemistry. And it's take the focus from it.
I'd rather take a bottle with cold water and spray it on myself, but you can dunk your head if you want.
Yeah. I ruin my makeup. Yeah. Or holding an ice cube is probably a better, thing. It's not going to make a mess.
Actually, those things are probably a lot better than being in a bathtub and having it thrown in the toaster.
That's true. That's
yeah.
At all. Then you can say bye to your mood totally. You're gone.
Yeah.
You'll have a psychic experience before it's over, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that an NDE might be so lovely if you're on the way out.
Right.
Now, do you know anything about near-death experiences?
I don't know a lot. I know several people that have gone through them, but I personally have not experienced it. So I'm not
I think Kelly's had that happen. I'm not sure, Kelly. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's the reason I bring that up.
Oh, no, it's fine you brought it up. No, I've had some, and I'm going to be including that in a book. But I've got many books in the series that I'm working on different series at the same time. I can't just stick with one thing. I've got to do 15,000 other things, but they're all like one's a children's book series about the different animals that I rescue, and I rescue exotic animals. And then another thing is, an aspect of that is how psychic animals are, how they don't have the biases, and they're not told when they're a kid, don't think that way, it's silly. They're just open, and boom, there they are. So, the different ways that their extra senses are used, like therapy animals, like some of them can detect cancer, or they know when someone's about to have a seizure, or, different things, So that's the kind of thing that I'm writing another book on, but then the whole, psychic life examples and things like that is going to be a different series, and kind of like the awakening into it, and then I can continue the series with things that I learn in the future. So I've got a lot of ideas rolling around, and I'm I'm physically working on them, which is great. But this show is helping so much because it feels like I'm learning a piece of the puzzle with each guest that we have on or each experience I have, even if it's with helping other people and doing their chakras.
Beautiful. That's the process, though. When you're open, you find that all of a sudden the right people show up, access to the right place, information, and again, we are the most unique beings because of the fact that we have this power that we don't recognize that often. But as soon as you put that beacon out, you say, I'm open to this and I want more and I want to connect, it starts to come through.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like all of a sudden books and things that I thought I'd want to write about 20 years ago, all of a sudden now I've got the content for, and I'm being guided to different people to talk to or different sources to research. Right. And it's amazing. It's like an information superhighway that's apart from the World Wide Web.
Right. It really is incredible. I think this is why I'm so fascinated with what I do and why I continue to read and study, even though I've been doing it for forever. There's always something I don't know. There's some minutia that I can be exposed to and learn about and then share with other people.
See, that's what I want to do. I want to try to help people, and I'm, I never tell anybody, don't go to the doctor or I think you have this, but I'll tell them, I'm picking up on, let's say, that you have a lot of nausea lately and blah, 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 while I'm doing their solar plexus or something. And, I'll tell them, has this been going on for a long time? And they'll be like, yeah, this has been going on for 3 months. And I'll say, you might want to get that checked out with your doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything medically. I just help people help themselves,
Exactly. I do something similar when I sit with people. A lot of times I get information and I let them know right off the bat, I'm not a physician. I do not have any sort of medical training. Everything for me is sensory. Though if I sense something, I will share it with you. I have actually said to people, I'm concerned about a particular region of the body. Please, when you leave here, call your doctor. The last time I did that, a woman who's been a client for years had come in. I hadn't seen her for about a year and a half. Come in and said, before we start the session, I want to tell you something. And I said, okay, what? She says, well, last time I was here, you were insistent that I go have my chest checked. I said, okay. And she said they found 2 masses. And the doctor said, had I not gone in when I did, I wouldn't be here today.
Wow.
So if you sense something, definitely share with the person you're working with. Definitely let them know. I mean, there have been other situations where I picked up on something. A funny one is a thyroid issue. I have a client who came in and I said, again, not a doctor, and I always preface this because I always tell everybody to defer to their doctor's judgment and their own judgment ultimately. What I'm giving them is kind of a roadmap. What they do with that map is up to them. But this client had come in, and I kept going, this area, and taking my hand and, kind of going over where that thyroid is. And she's just looking at me, and she's not saying anything. And I finally said to her, you're taking medicine for this. And she says, yeah, I am. I said, I think you need to go to the doctor. You may be taking less. And she looked at me as if I had 2 heads. But on her next appointment, she went to the doctor, and they lowered her medication.
Oh, wow.
So stuff like that to me is very exciting. You're letting them know, here, you have something coming up, take care of it, look at it, confer with your physician. Listen to what's taking place, because obviously if somebody is coming to you to find out about their chakras and getting balanced and harmonious, then you're going to perceive certain things. You would want to be able to share with them and know that they're going to actually move on it, that they're going to take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's the hard part because, we can give them information, but we can't make them do it. And, like we can see the different options ahead, like, okay, if they go ahead and they find this out, then they can take care of this. But if they don't go, then we can also see the alternative, and it's not usually very good.
Right.
And it's hard, because it's they have their free will, their free choice, to take it or leave it, and it's hard if they leave it, and something might happen.
And that's what's difficult, especially if you're opening up more and more to your own intuitive abilities, because you want to tell everybody. You want to let them know, here's something that can help you. And sometimes we just choose not to. And we have to be okay with honoring their choice, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah. And I know, I've always asked permission, before I, pick up on something. I try not to put my feelers out there, just because I feel it's intrusive unless I have permission. But, sometimes people will call in and I'll talk to them about they have a bad breakup, or, they're in a foul mood, or they're having relationship issues or problems at work or whatever. And I can give them suggestions, but I always tell them that I'm not a professional, and, it would do you the most good if you could seek out somebody that you felt comfortable with talking to, that is a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, some people try to promote themselves and, they think of themselves, in grandiose terms, and I just don't have, I don't have need for ego stroking or, I want to be honorable, because if somebody was coming to me, I would want to be the kind of person that I would want to go to.
Right, exactly. And I think that shows your level of integrity.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to be as transparent as possible, because, nobody's going to open up if they have doubts. So it only does me good by being completely open.
Perfect. I have a question for the two of you. Did you have any callers that wanted a quick reading? Because I see here that we're actually at an hour.
I can't think of. I don't have any callers. But
no worries.
But that's fine. It's. But if you wanted to, maybe you could give a reading to Kelly, maybe, or.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we've kind of been doing that a little bit on and off. Okay, so for instance, we talked about as far as publishing, not there yet. You have to kind of complete something first.
Right.
The book with the animals I get being your first book that's going to hit the market, and that's going to end up being a segue for you to get the other books in the market. So even if you finish writing one or two of the others, focus on the animal one going to market first, because that's going to get the most attention right off the bat. And once that's out there, then people will know your name and they will want to see more of what you're putting out there. Whereas the children's book, I get a nice feel from, but out of everything that you're doing, I feel like that's more of a training manual. I know that sounds like a funny term. That's the feeling, though. You're creating something that really can be a helpful guide with parents and children, even though it's entertaining to children. And I just get that it's not quite ready time-wise for that one to be. As far as your health, we talked about that a little bit, and just how you're treating yourself to be a bit more gentle. That's important. I'm going to say, as far as your fiance, you're married, meaning you may not be officially married, but you're married.
Feels like it.
Seriously, you have that piece of paper or not, you're already married. And what I want to suggest is, if you want to do the big wedding, do that when you feel like, how can I explain this? Like it's important for the other people in your life to have a celebration, because what's most important to you is the relationship that you have, and you are very connected to the child, which you already know. Otherwise, you would not be doing as much for this child as you do. Even though you're good with children, there's something special about this young lady. And so there's, I'm going to call it a soul connection that is beyond just this is your fiance's daughter. There is a deeper soul connection there with her. And I feel like no matter what transpires over the years, that connection is going to grow, which is lovely.
Oh, thank you. Do you see us having maybe a small ceremony or going to Justice of the Peace just to do it, and then later having like a family type and friend type wedding?
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing, because when I said about when you feel that the family needs a celebration, meaning the wedding itself, the party part of it, you will enjoy that, but that's not the most important. I feel like the ceremony is going to be intimate, and it is going to be before, and we are in, what are we in? We're in October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Okay, I feel like before June of next year, you will have your ceremony.
Oh, and that's cool.
And then
We've been
Pardon?
We've been trying to pick out dates, and I don't know if it's for just us or for the family, but like, you know, the numbers roll around like 1/19/19 or 10/10/2020 or 12/12/2020. So those later ones in 2020 might be like a family and friend gathering, and
right.
maybe the 1/19/19 might be just us.
Right, because I definitely get ceremonies. I get it being smaller. And again, I'm going to say what I said before. When you're ready to have that celebration for the family, that's when you have the big one. And it's not that there's anything wrong with doing it now, but I feel like both of you are too busy trying to figure out everybody else's schedules. And the truth is, just get married. You're already married to each other. Get the piece of paper, get the couple of benefits that go along with it, and create the party for everybody else later. And it may be approximately a year after you actually have your ceremony. But it's okay, because everybody is still going to be in that celebratory mood.
Oh, okay. Do you see us having a baby? Because we had a miscarriage. And so we're kind of afraid to try again, and I'd like to do it after we're married, at least on paper.
Little boy.
What?
Little boy.
Oh, that would be so cool. Wow.
You have to first get your physical body feeling strong before you start that again. So it'll be good timing after your ceremony, because you will be back, I'll say back in your own skin, back to your old form, which is good. I actually feel that you're going to be stronger than you were than before all this took place. So this is good.
Oh, good. You know, I'm feeling like this is true, and this is the path I'm on. You know, it's like it has to get worse before it can get better. And it's really, you know, like, I don't know if I'm through like the worst of it yet, but there is definitely a push inside of me to get better, because I feel like I want to do these things after I am, if that makes sense. Because otherwise it's out of order, it's not going to work, it's, you know.
But let me point something out to you. It's for your belief, meaning it's because you believe there is a proper way to do it. If you wanted to just go to the courthouse tomorrow, you could do that, but you would not be comfortable because it's not in alignment with your thought process. Honor your thought process, and that way each step you take, you'll be joyful.
Okay. One question I do have is, do you see, because I have my house, he has his house, we're like a half hour away from each other, and sometimes we go back and forth one to the other. I have my animals here at mine. We were thinking of converting a detached garage over at his place, or do you see us like collectively just moving into a totally different house that would be just our house?
I get the sense that you will have your ceremony first, and then, and I feel like you're going to actually be at his place for a while, and then I get the two of you get the place together, meaning a total separate entity.
Okay. Do you think that's before or after the whole family and friends ceremony?
It feels between when you do I'll say the smaller celebration, and all right, let's put this into words versus feelings. I get it being between the time that you do your ceremony and before you have the big celebration. So there's
as you said, we're running out of time. We're almost out of time. But I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, Holly. Thank you for coming on. I'm going to see to it
thank you.
I'm going to see to it that Kelly has your contact information.
Okay, great.
So that
thank you. I want to take your class.
The apprenticeship. Thank you for coming on.
I want to do that.
Thank you for
Thank
both
you
of you
so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Have a great day. Thanks so much.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.